don't know if I really love this decision.
Over the middle, got his man, and look at him go! Jalen Waddle for the touchdown!
Welcome to Inside Leverage, your gateway to the fascinating realm of the Miami Dolphins. Join us as we delve deep into the team's dynamic Super Bowl journey. We invite you to share your most scorching takes, unwind, and relish in our captivating experience.
Tunga Bailoa, blocked by Armstead. Going, he's got him! He's got him! Tyreek Hill! And the Dolphins have come back!
A big play on the first one! Home run! Play one! To the house! What a start for the Dolphins!
It's Inside Leverage. We always gonna put on the show, baby. That's what we do.
Yo, welcome back, everybody, to another live edition of Inside Leverage. You know how we do.
We got a great one today. Great one today.
Yes, sir. We got a front of the program, Daniel Oyefusi, beat reporter for the Miami Dolphins, will be joining us, giving us the latest and greatest news on the potential free agents, including not limited to Christian Wilkins, moves with Baker and Xavier Howard, and new deals for a couple of special players left on defense. So we'll see. Let's see when he gets here. We'll get down and dirty with that.
Before you go any further, bro, how many times did you tell yourself that name in the bathroom by yourself practicing, and you didn't botch it?
Which one?
Oyefusi.
I don't listen, man. He told me one time, and I was like, okay, I can't. I know we're gonna get him back on. I cannot screw this up. I can't screw his name up again. So I actually had more trouble with the Chiefs guy. Was it the Chiefs guy? I forgot. He had like a interesting last name. And I was just like, I just gave up on it. I kind of like, try to pronounce it as much as I could. But Oyefusi, it kind of just rolls off the tongue. You know what I mean?
It's like Spanish.
Kind of, yeah.
It's like Oyefusi.
Oyefusi.
Yeah, it's like even calling somebody like Oyefusi.
Yeah.
You gotta put the emphasis on your Fusi. That's funny.
So what's up, man? Hey, it's Thursday. What are you guys up to, man?
Man, just working, back looking, just kind of looking at what the Dolphins gonna do. Free agency is coming through. The draft is gonna be here pretty soon. The combine as well is just around the corner. So
yeah,
looks like the Dolphins are gonna be talking. So there's a lot of up and coming things gonna be exciting for us to talk about, man. Especially with free agency and signing our expired contract. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, bro. Listen, for me personally, I think this is like the most outside of the season, the off season, and like the whole, team building aspect of it. I love it for the longest time, bro. I don't know about you guys, but I used to go to like Publix and buy the, I forgot the name of the magazine, but it was a magazine that would come out every off season. And they would have like all the additions, all the players that we'd lose or whatever, and statistics and like the preview of the team.
Bro, I remember that in Publix and
bro.
You remember the newsstand in Publix? That doesn't exist anymore.
Bro, I haven't gone to Publix in I don't know how long.
Really?
Something's wrong with you.
Where shopping is a pleasure, you don't go to Publix. How long has it really been?
Honestly, I'm ashamed to know you.
Well, there's obviously a reason. You guys are very aware why I don't do that. But I have to avoid all that kind of stuff, but it's neither here nor there. But yeah, I do miss going. And specifically, like, dude, I'm telling you, it bothers me that I can't remember the name of the magazine, but bro, it was like the highlights of the off season for me was getting that book or that magazine. It was pretty thick, and it had like every preview and a breakdown of every single team. And I would spend hours and hours reading that stuff. So, but now there's internet. So back then there wasn't, we didn't have all that stuff. Yes, I'm old. You don't have to repeat that. Thank you.
Man.
Yeah, man. So
Man was out here looking at the classifiers in the fine print.
Right.
hey,
Newspaper, you get your newsletter. How they do it? How they do it
nah,
back in the
nah,
day?
nah, 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 nah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you had the little guy with the newspaper, the paper boy.
Miami Herald, get your Miami Herald here for
The
only
Daily
29
Bugle.
cents.
The Daily Bugle.
That was you. That was you. Right? You remember those? Bro, I ain't gonna lie to you. I actually wasn't gonna do that like work as
Hey,
a me. They used to make money, though. You wake up early, you do an early rock, you be home by
early.
10.
They,
You be home. You be home by 10 o'clock, and you done, caked
not
up.
it, bro. Earlier than that. Like I remember, like I knew somebody that did it, and they would leave their house like at 4:30 in the morning.
Yep.
Jeez.
I was like,
I don't know.
bro.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with that area right there on A Street and Fourth Avenue on the overpass. That
Okay, yeah.
used to that used to be the Miami Herald like station type thing. And we used to be I used to be a kid, man, like a teenager, them crazy like nights. I used to see them just packing up. When you saw them people packing up, you know you were going
You
home
knew it
late.
was late. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
People
funny.
went
Good
out.
time,
I was outside, baby.
baby.
Hey. So it seems like we have a somebody who just showed up. Let's give him the proper introduction.
Oh yeah.
Daniel Oyefusi.
What's
What up,
going
man?
on, brother? What's going on?
I'm good. I'm good. Long time. How y'all been?
Good,
All right,
man.
man. Thanks
Doing
for
good.
coming back, bro, and joining us. I know that I'm sure you got a lot of stuff going on in the off season. What you been up to, bro?
Oh man, not as much as you think, man.
Really?
Things about to heat up in the next couple of weeks. Got the combine next week. Obviously, free agency starts in a little less than a month. But it's kind of a downtime. The season just ended. Just kind of biding time until the real fun starts. We're gonna get into
Oh
all
yeah.
that.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and it looks like Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel are going to be out there. So you're going to be out there to kind of interview them, see where their direction of the team will be.
Yeah. Obviously, they're going to be in Indy for the combine next week. I'll be out there as well. We're supposed to talk to Mike McDaniel, Chris Greer, so it's a good time to kind of see really what the latest updates are. Obviously with Christian Wilkins, a lot of the free agents, Tua, with the plans for the offseason, the draft. So it's always fun. I was like, you have the season, which is fun in and of itself. And then you have the off season. You have like various off season trips. So, I was in Mobile for the Senior Bowl. You get to catch up with some folks. Talk to some front office executives, coaches, scouts, see other people in the industry. The combine is like another one of those events. It's like kind of like the premier off-season event in my eyes because you got all the agents, the coaches, the GMs. So I'm excited to see a lot of folks and obviously got to work there, but it's definitely gonna be a lot of fun for sure.
Yeah, man. So, speaking of that, let's jump right into it, bro. Talk to me. What have you heard about Wilkins? Because that seems to be like the hot topic right now. So I think there was a report that just came out. I think it was yesterday that off of ESPN saying that they were willing to negotiate with him, or not willing to negotiate, but they're willing to retain him.
Yeah, with the
So,
franchise tag. Yeah.
right. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, obviously, you guys know, like last year, last summer, they were talking. There were a lot of talks. A lot of Wilkins' peers got lucrative deals, and he wasn't the one. He was like the lone one who didn't get the deal, and it looks like along the way there was some, there was some gap that couldn't be bridged, and my guess is that it's probably with the guarantees or whatnot. Usually that's what it's about, the average annual value, just like little stuff like that, where they just weren't able to kind of find that common ground. They're definitely going to try to work something out before the start of free agency. But if not, according to the ESPN report, they're going to franchise tag him, which is really interesting. I wrote about that earlier in the week about how it's really not like the most favorable option for the Dolphins right now because we talked. You guys know it's been brought up numerous times. They're scheduled to be or projected to be $50 million over the cap. No, they have to be under that by the time free agency starts, and they will be. But if you franchise tag Christian Wilkins, that's $20 million or $21 million on the cap for 2024. So that makes it even tougher. Like you already have to clear like more than $50 million so you can keep some of your guys, sign some guys. If you franchise tag Christian Wilkins, that's more than $70 million that you probably have that you most definitely have to clear out. So it just makes keeping Connor Williams, Rob Hunt, and all these other guys tougher. We'll see, man. We'll see if they usually, sometimes these deadlines kind of spark some last minute stuff. Obviously, I'm sure Wilkins' agent is probably going to be in Indianapolis, so it's going to be a good time to kind of for him and Greer to talk things out and see if they can reach a common ground. But if not, the good thing about the tag is that it gives you some extra time to work on a deal. Because once you're tagged, you have until mid-July to strike out a long-term deal. If not, then the player has to play on the franchise tag. But like for the Dolphins, it's not really the position you want to be in, like franchising Christian Wilkins and trying to retain the rest of your guys and like build around. It's just not really what you want to do right now if you're them.
Wait, hold on, Wally. Before we go on, one other thing as far as a salary, as far as the cap is concerned, you also have to reserve money for the draft.
Yeah, exactly. Unless they trade the picks, because that's what they've been doing the past couple of years. But I don't know if they want to do that now. Like I think it's like they've traded the picks for a couple of years. It's time to get some young cheap guys in here, for when some of these older vets head out. So yeah, you have to save a couple $1 million for the draft as well. So in the next month, like we're gonna see a lot of reports come out saying the Dolphins have restructured Tyreek Hill's contract, they restructured Jalen Ramsey contract, they restructure Bradley Chubb contract in order to to get under the cap and be able to like have some space to make moves. So that's expected. It's just kind of a matter of like how much money do they need to actually clear out.
Yeah. Listen. We can always talk about Christian Wilkins, and we was talking about giving them 16 in a biscuit and giving us some extra money, but it's downtime. So now we got to speculate and have some fun. We saw Javon Holland put a little meme out there, talk about a little gift, however you want to call it, what a little money roll. You know what I'm talking about? So we want to know. We were talking about the scale of how much money you got to pay Javon Holland.
Oh man, let me see.
What you giving Javon Holland in his contract? I have him at a top 3 safety, the 10 or 12 mil. You know what I'm saying?
It's gonna cost more than that for a top 3 safety, brother. It's gonna cost more than that for a top 3 safety. If you say me top 3,
you give him 12 in a biscuit. Give him 12 in a biscuit. It's not some guarantees in there. You feel me?
I don't know. I was gonna say top 3. If you say me a top 3 safety,
top five. Because
I'm telling you, it's gonna be a little bit more than
you gotta give
10
him 2
mil.
biscuits.
You might close to it. You might have to. But yeah, obviously, he's up next. He's one of those guys that's up next. Like we talked about, like that 2021 draft has been so good to them. They got Waddle, they got Jalen Phillips, they got Holland. I feel like I'm missing out some guys. I feel like they definitely got some more out that draft, but it's like it's time to pay up. And Holland is different than Waddle and Phillips because Holland is a second round pick, so he doesn't have that 5th-year option. So like we talk about the pay Waddle, trade Waddle. So I'm sure we're gonna get into all that and whatnot. But like with him and JP, like you can wait a couple years. Like honestly, you could probably wait like 2 to 3 years if you want to like go that far with the franchise tag as well. Holland, you can't really do that. Like he's entering the final year of his deal. The price only increases. Like we talk about that with Wilkins, with Rob Hunt. Like the price only increased for them. This time last year, like the prices only increased. So I'm an advocate for like you get it out the way. I'm also an advocate for you pay Waddle right now and get that out the way. But yeah, we'll see because obviously it was a tough year for him. It wasn't the year that a lot of fans expected. It obviously wasn't the year that he expected. I know just talking with him, that knee injury was like very bothersome. Like there was like whenever I would ask him about it, he'd be like, yeah, like we're trying to get there. And this was a guy who was like, I never had a major injury in my life. So like I kept on trying to explain to people like Jerome had one sprained MCL, Javon had 2. So now people are like, why can't he play? And I'm like, guys, like the knees and then it's like the basis of everything he does.
It's a little important. It's a little important. I don't know.
So you got 2 of those, like that's tough. So obviously he was very frustrated as well. But when he's healthy, when he's out there, like the way they talked about him, like they say he's the quarterback of the defense. Like everyone says he's the quarterback of the defense. He gets everybody lined up. The splash plays weren't there. But that doesn't mean that he's not making an impact and that he's not a good player. He's a very good player. So I'm an advocate of like if you can take care of them right now. Like it's time to start taking care of these young guys who, we all talk about Chris Greer, can he nail the draft picks? He got some good ones in the pipeline. So now it's time to lock those guys up for the future. So I'm an advocate of it. Obviously, there's higher priorities for them, but if you can, it's time to get those young guys locked up for the next couple of years.
The other Junior, before you go, you're going to be very happy with this. One of the other draft picks from the 2021 draft, and Junior's going to be very happy about this.
Don't.
You ready?
Don't.
Liam Eichenberg.
Hey, I gotta say something.
Do it.
I mean, Liam kind of made him some money this year. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie.
It's a big. Hey, that's a big. I think that's the biggest fan of Lee Eichenberg right here.
I'm not gonna lie. He kind of like
he did.
Like he wasn't perfect. He wasn't great. But he played through a lot of injuries.
I give him
He showed some versatility. He was a guy who, if they needed him to play center one day, he played center. If they needed him to move over to right guard, he did it. If you need him to go over to left, I mean, he's played every position on the offensive line at this point. So I'm not saying he's a starting caliber offensive lineman, but if he's a guy who, hey, you're in a pinch, you need him as a reserve interior offensive lineman. Like, hey, I mean, you could do worse, I guess. I mean, it could have been really bad. Like it could have been really bad if Liam like he settled in that center once he got a couple starts in, and it wasn't perfect, but he showed some value. So he made him some money. Like I'm not doing any sourcing or anything like that, but like in the back of my mind, I was like, hey, I could see like they give him a little 2-year, 3-year extension, and it's nothing crazy, but it's just kind of like, hey, you're a top reserve. Like I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm not saying I talked to anybody, but I'm just saying like when I was kind of doing my position reviews, I was kind of looking at the state of the offensive line. I'm like, hey, I can see that. Like I can see them being like, hey, give you a little bone, like appreciate your efforts. We're gonna keep you around as a reserve lineman, and if we need you to step in to start, hey, we can count on you for it in a pinch.
Yeah, we've actually talked about that. Go ahead, Junior. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, definitely fringe starter. And hopefully they'll give him a contract, because if they do, I'm gonna go crazy. But let's focus. I want to focus in on what you said about Waddle, because I have a theory that I felt like might be something that they'll consider before I ask my question. With Waddle, I think between Waddle and Phillips, between them two, I think Waddle has been the most consistent. And I think that's the guy you would kind of want to get the contract done like now, maybe this year.
Mm-hmm.
And then with Phillips, he showed the high upside. He can be a guy that can get the 10 plus sacks, but certain situations happen. Maybe you want to kind of give him that 5th-year option to see if he can be consistent for the next 2-3 years, and then give him that contract that he's deserving of. So I can see something like that. So here's my question. How do you measure a player like Christian, like Waddle, like Javon? How do a guy like Chris Greer and Brandon Shore build up a contract? Is it based on the statistics? Is it more than that? Is it based on leadership? Like, in your opinion, how do you formulate a contract that's deserving of those for the player that's going to help us out? And maybe the player might consider like, hey, based on this Pro Bowler and all that stuff, I deserve this contract. What are your thoughts? I don't know if I'm all over the place with that.
No. I mean, you take into account everything, and that's what they do. I mean, you take out their pass production. You paying them, it's like we always talk about, like, you're paying them for past performance, or paying them for future. I mean, it's just a little bit of both. Like, you reward them for what they've done and for what you think they're going to do in the future. You take into account what you have at other positions. You take into account the market. Well, Waddle and Phillips, it's really interesting because obviously they have the 5th-year option. I think the deadline is like May 1st or something like that. It's in May to exercise the option, and my guess is they'll do it for both. Obviously, Phillips is a little tough because he's coming from the Achilles, so that's tough. And I think that kind of, like, it really sucks for him, because this is a year where he was breaking out, and this is probably the year where you're like, all right, it's time to lock this guy up. But I think they probably have to hold off for a year, see how he comes back. Maybe not so much this year, but the next year, because that's when he's really going to be back to himself. Like, keep in mind, like Nick Needham, it took him about a year to come back from the Achilles, and he was mentioning, and I was talking to him, and he was like, "Hey, like you don't really feel yourself until that second year." So I think that kind of pushes the timeline down for him. Waddle, again, I know this week is all been all about Trey Waddle, Trey Waddle, Trey Waddle. I think that's ludicrous in the words of Tyreek Hill. I think that if somehow you can lock him up right now, you do it. And in my eyes, you pay him like a number one receiver, because that's what he's going to be, in 2-3 years when, maybe Tyreek isn't on the roster. Obviously, again, there's higher priorities. And right now, at wide receiver, there might not be a better bargain than Jalen Waddle, because he's giving you 1,000+ yards in big plays, and he's making peanuts right now. So I'm not saying that it's gonna happen, but I'm just saying, like, if I was kind of running the Dolphins, if I was playing Madden GM, that's how I would handle it right now. But it's gonna be interesting because there are a couple guys up. They have to balance the up and comers, the guys that are reaching the end of their rookie deals. And then you also have, some established veterans who have these really high cap hits, and they're still, on the roster for the next year, 2 or 3.
Perfect. Listen, I got another question for you, and as far as one of the veteran guys, obviously one of the guys that has been arguably one of the best corners that we've ever had here in Xavier Howard. He again, he's trying to been communicating through social media with the little Usher video and all that. Have you heard anything, or is there? Do you have a sense of what's going to happen here? I mean, I personally have an opinion on that.
Yeah.
We all think we know where this is going, but we wanted
Yeah.
to hear your opinion where this is going to probably end up.
I was gonna say, I think my colleague Barry reported a bit on it. He said, to this point he hasn't necessarily been asked to take a pay cut, but there is, kind of a belief. I'm trying to make sure I get the wording right. So that's why, excuse me. That's why I'm looking.
No. Take your time. It's better to be right than.
Yeah. I don't want to come out here and start
Exactly.
misreading.
No, because we heard this.
You'll come out here, you'll have a bad take. Like the coach's ugly Yankee shirt. Don't worry about it.
Because then Barry's gonna be hitting me up.
Yeah, that's right.
He said an associate of Howard's said the sense is that Howard is open to outside options and would be reluctant to take a big pay cut. And then he also sourced a different source that said, to this point, he doesn't, to his knowledge, he hasn't been asked to take a pay cut. So obviously, X has a really big pay cut. He has no more guaranteed money. I asked Chris Greer at the end of season news conference whether he expected him to be on the roster, and he gave a very non-committal answer, saying that X is like any other guy on the team. We're going to see, we're going to assess that, afterward, and go from there. And obviously, that was maybe the politically correct answer. But hey, if we asked him, is Tua going to be on the roster next year? Well, I don't know. Maybe he would have said the same thing for Tua, because I don't know. Chris Greer does a good job of talking in a way that, and talking in non-absolutes, and really all front office execs.
He's just being political.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, but obviously that raised a lot of antennas, and the fact that X himself, if somebody asked him, would you be willing to take a pay cut to stay here, and he said, would you take a pay cut to stay at your job? I wouldn't take a. I don't know. Well, I don't know. The journalism industry is kind of rough, but I would be reluctant to take a pay cut to take my job, to keep my job. X said that essentially. So it feels like a divorce is imminent. And me personally, I don't. This is just my personal. I don't love it. I understand. Like getting the fact that there is some. Well, I don't love it for multiple reasons. I don't love it. One, because I think that X played really well this season when he was healthy, and obviously that's the big thing with him, like the health. He had another season that was kind of cut short or derailed because of injury. And I think now he's 31. He's entering his age 31 or 32 season. So you do have to say, like, hey, at what point do we see that kind of decline? He might not be the X of a couple years back when he was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year and got 10 interceptions. But I said, like, he's still a starting cornerback in the NFL. He's still a very capable cornerback in the NFL. And the question is, at that price, 'cause I think he has like a $23 million cap hit or whatever, like the and he's not owed any more money. It's like pretty much not owed any money. So the question is like, can they reach an agreement on maybe a restructured deal, which obviously would probably have to be in the form of a pay cut. Um, and obviously X has done a very good job of getting more money from the team the past couple of years. So he really is not under any, there's really no reason for him to take less money.
Right.
But I don't like that because I know I don't like it because I know that they're in a tough cap spot. But I feel like cutting X just creates more holes for you. And obviously, when you cut players, like that's just kind of natural. But I'm not a fan of that because you still don't know what you have in Cam Smith. Maybe you do have to kind of trust that Cam Smith is going to step up or whoever it may be. But I don't like that for a team that already has so many holes on the roster, whether that's interior offensive line or potentially defensive tackle. Might have to add a safety. I'm not a fan of creating another hole when you have a very capable player there. And again, a lot of this is kind of like people projecting and saying, "Hey, like we want to get ahead of ourselves before the return really isn't worth it." But obviously, it looks like it just kind of has that feel that's there. And again, like the cap savings wouldn't come until like late in the summer anyway. Like they have to cut him with a post June 1 designation, and that means that the money is like he's off the roster, he's cut from the team, but you don't actually get the money to use until June 2nd. So by then, all the good free agents are going to be used up. I mean, obviously, like cap savings and cap space is always good, but how much is it really going to help your team in 2024? Is my like when you cut X, like what do you do with the money? Where do you go from there? Does that whole process make you a better team in 2024? Obviously, you're looking long term ahead, but I'm just not a fan of it. Like me personally, I wouldn't do it, but hey, I'm not in charge.
Yeah. You don't have that burden. Chad, you want to follow up there?
So, Daniel, let me ask you. The trenches are a touchy subject around in Twitter. What's going on? What are you hearing about Connor Williams with Robert Hunt? We got a little bit of news with Teron Armstead. It's been kind of reported that he's going to be coming back. I think that's expected with the guaranteed money that's on the handle for him. But what are your thoughts on what's going on with the interior guys, the guys in the middle? I think that's probably the most important part of the line for Tua. So, what do you think they have going there?
Yeah, well, the Connor situation is tough because you remember last year, he was trying to get a new contract last year. We signed a 2-year deal. I don't think there was a lot, if any, guaranteed money on that second year. So he doesn't go to any of the offseason workouts, and he shows up for training camp. All right, so like they clearly like weren't on the same page with a new deal there. And then he has the ACL. That only makes things tougher because they have I'm sure that Connor and his group have a belief, and they have a price point, and just my opinion, they probably aren't coming off of it very much after that. Whereas the Dolphins are looking at it like, hey, you've played very, very well at center, but now you're coming off an ACL. Like, we don't even know if you're going to be ready for the season. If you don't know how you're going to respond from that. So they're, and my guess is they probably came down from whatever offer they were having or price they thought had in mind. So my guess is that like the ACL and the knee injury only kind of made things harder to navigate. And obviously, Rob Hunt is in a position where he's probably asking for a top of the market deal or close to a top of the market deal for a right guard as he should because he's played that well the past couple of years. So I mean these negotiations are tough. Like they take a while to come together. Again, a lot of times it's the deadline. Remember a couple of years back with Emmanuel Agba, where it looked like he was going to hit the market, and then out of nowhere, like 5 minutes before free agency starts, we got a deal. So I would say just kind of wait things out. Honestly, at the combine is when like a lot of moving and shaking happens, and a lot of progress is made. It's an entire week. Late nights in Indianapolis. Talks between GMs and agents and whatnot. So I would say give it some time. Let's see what happens after the combine. And obviously, we're getting closer to free agency then, but it's going to be tough because Wilkins, Connor to a lesser extent, and Hunt all have strong arguments to be near at the top of their position in terms of pay. And the Dolphins might see it a little bit differently. So it's these are tough negotiations for sure.
So then, Daniel, who
who do you have in the draft that you feel can replace Connor? I, I hate to say it, maybe even Robert Hunt or any other guys that are on the possibility of being moved on from once free agency starts.
Yeah, I think kind of like the hot name right now. We're kind of like the what's the word I'm looking for? The I don't know, the viewer's
The
choice or
buzzword,
whatever.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it's probably Oregon center Jackson Powers Johnson, I believe his name.
Yeah.
I was just on a
Oh,
conference. I was just on a conference call with NFL Network draft analyst Daniel Jeremiah, and he named him as a guy who would like kind of fits perfectly in that bottom of the first round range, right where the Dolphins are picking at 21, because he just has that that perfect blend of size, power, speed that you're looking for at the position. According to Jeremiah, and that was funny. I was talking with somebody, and I was like, the thing about these like guys is that all the fans want him. Every Dolphins fan wants him, which means he's probably going to get picked like 4 picks before they're on the clock. That's just the way things goes. But there are some other capable guys, but I think that's probably like the name to watch in the first round. If you get to like 18, 19, he's still on the board. I think that's a guy who could definitely he kind of projects as that day one starter type of guy.
golly, go ahead, Wally.
Daniel, thank you for your time once again, man. Look, we're gonna have a whole on safeties. So there's a guy there's a relationship with the Lion safety and also the Sean Elliott and
Yeah.
Brandon Jones. Out of all those guys, man, which one you see that fits like maybe what we're gonna go be doing forward? I know it's kind of premature to make a judgment because we really don't know what Weaver's doing, but we're just gonna make a guesstimation based on relationships, I guess, or whatnot. So out of those three safeties, which one you see like fitting with Javon Holland and given our cap situation?
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at the combination of what Weaver's trying to do, which is he said it's going to be based off of what he did in Baltimore, and then kind of the familiarity of the coaching staff. I think Deshaun Elliott is a strong candidate to return. He was with Weaver. Oh, you're not a fan of Deshaun?
Hell nah.
Deshaun was
Hell
solid.
nah.
Listen,
Deshaun was
I don't
very
know
solid.
why.
there's a
Why
history there. There's a history
he
there.
had a crazy tweet in his own site, homie. When I see you, I'ma see you.
Oh,
It's
okay. I
on
was about to say.
site.
I
He
was about to
said
say.
look. I'll give you the quick background. He had said something about bringing Lamar to the when Lamar was a free
Oh
agent.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I
and it's
remember
on
that. I remember
Somebody
that.
in here went freaking nuts
site.
and
Yeah,
just
that was
like,
that
bro,
wasn't that wasn't that wasn't the best way to ingratiate himself with the fans at that time.
no,
He had
no.
a snap. He hadn't even had a coke and a smile. He talking about the other girl. Like what?
Yeah, he and no Dolphins fans was crazy, but nah. I mean, I think that's definitely like that. It just makes sense. Elliott, Deshaun overlapped with Weaver in 2021 before he went to the Lions. Brian Duker, one of the new secondary coaches, he was with Deshaun in Detroit. So it just kind of makes sense from like a familiarity standpoint and schematics. I wrote in my position review for the safeties a couple of days ago. I don't think that like I don't. I think that the Weaver's arrival, doesn't necessarily like mean Brandon just no space for Brandon Jones. Like I could see a potential, role for Brandon Jones because I think that Weaver is going to be a lot more willing to blitz and to kind of lean into like the very like kind of the niche skill sets. So obviously, like we know Brandon Jones is being a great blitzer, and Vic Fangio didn't lean into that at all. I think that Weaver might be a little more willing to. The Ravens played a lot of three safety sets where they had Kyle Hamilton kind of like play everywhere, and then they had Geno Stone and Marcus Williams play like the traditional safety spots. So I think that there is like a potential. I think there's a potential role there, but if you're looking for like a traditional safety to pair with Javon, I think Deshaun. I think Deshaun is makes sense. And I think that he's not gonna come with a big market. I think that you can get him at a fairly decent price to re-sign him.
Daniel, I got a quick question, and I'm glad you brought up Weaver. What are you? And I know you're a big defensive guy. What was your initial impression of him, and what like kind of homework or research have you done on him? What he can possibly bring to the team, as far as like bringing an aggressive nature I think that we're missing so like really, really badly missing on that defense.
Yeah, so it's funny because obviously you guys know I covered the Ravens for 2 years before coming to Miami, and I actually overlapped with Weaver for like 4 months when he was like on the staff, and I had like one press conference with him before I came over here. So like obviously I knew of him, and then especially still like kind of keeping in touch with I know folks that cover the team, I know folks inside the organization. So I actually spoken to a member of the staff days before they hired Weaver officially, and he was kind of like gushing, like the guy was like, I think this would be a great fit, it'd be great. I like him because first off, like I really like the scheme that the Ravens ran. Like and he mentioned that he kind of has the duality of seeing like both ends of the spectrum in terms of philosophy. So like if like he played under Rex Ryan, who was blitz, 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 blitz. Like we're going blitz and blitz some more. And then when he was first in Baltimore, he was coaching with Wink Martindale. He was kind of an offshoot of Rex Ryan, which was like we're just gonna blitz, cover zero, do that all the time, kind of in that Brian Flores, Josh Boyer mode. But then when Mike McDonald came, it was a little different. It was two high safeties. It was less blitzing. It was a little more diversity in terms of some of the coverages. So I think he has like the best of both worlds. I think that like traditionally it'll probably be still the two high safety looks, more of the zone looks. But he won't be afraid to blitz. Like I think Vic like was really almost like averse to blitzing, and then it was kind of like at the end of the year when he realized that like, hey, we don't have the horses to get home before. He was like, we have to blitz.
Yes.
I think that Weaver's going to be a little more willing to, and he mentioned it, like adjust his playbook and adjust his philosophy from week to week based on the opponent. I don't want to. I know he said the defense is going to be the foundation of it is going to be what they did in Baltimore, but I don't want people to say that and think that it's going to be like a carbon copy of what they did in Baltimore. I think that there were very unique skill sets and the players that they had at Baltimore. And I think that while the Dolphins have players who may be able to fit into those roles, they have unique players in and of itself. So I know like some people have been saying like, like he's gonna move around Jalen Ramsey. Like, I don't think he's gonna move around Jalen Ramsey every single game. Like I think Jalen Ramsey's still gonna be an outside corner, but I think that there are going to be some times where, based off the matchup, you might see him move inside. You might see him shadow a guy. He's definitely going to have a more versatile role, but I don't think he's going to be Kyle Hamilton because Kyle Hamilton is his own unique player. I think that Javon Holland could fit that role, but he's not going to be like doing everything that Kyle Hamilton did. Like I think that Weaver's going to come with his own unique ideas of what he wants to do with the special skill sets of his guys. But I'm excited for what he's going to do. My only worry is that I don't, and again, like I could be wrong because we still have like 8 months till the season, and 9 months till the season starts. My worry, or it's 6 months, something like that, whatever. My worry is that they're not going to have near the level of defensive talent that they had last year. They had a lot. I mean, I know that they were hurt, but when they were like rolling, they had a lot. They had guys at every level of the defense. They had multiple guys at every level of the defense. My worry is that between Jalen and Bradley, they're going to be brought along slowly. I know that they're working hard, but we know how the team does with guys coming off injury, especially under McDaniel the past couple of years. They don't want a Byron Jones situation. They don't want any setbacks. They're going to bring them along slowly, and if that means that they got to wait an extra week or two, if that means they got to start on pup, so to make sure that they're really good to go, like they'll do that. Like they're not going to rush anybody back. So between Bradley and Jalen coming back from their injuries, between Van Ginkel potentially leaving, between X potentially being cut, and all the other potential defections and guys leaving and whatnot. Obviously they're gonna have some cap space. They're gonna bring guys in. They're gonna re-sign some guys, but I just don't think it's gonna be as talented of a defense as it was this past season. So my question is, can Weaver do more with less? With a less talented, that's my. I think that the scheme will be solid. I think that everything he's saying is perfect, but also like Banjo did a really pretty good job, but he also had a lot of guys to work with. I don't think Weaver's going to have as much to work with in 2024, and that's my fear, that the scheme might be solid, but hey, they say it's not about the X's and O's, it's about the Jimmys and the Joes. I think the X's and O's are going to be straight, but I don't know if they're going to have all the guys to execute it. And that's why, I'm just fascinated with what they do, on both sides of the ball this offseason in terms of adding talent. Like, they could run it back theoretically, but I don't think that that's good enough to make a run in the AFC. Like, they have to get better. So how do you get better? How do you add more talent and make sure that you are a more talented team than you were last year? That's my question.
No, you know what? That's the beauty of coaching, because again, I've seen where there's a lot of talent on teams and they just fail because there wasn't a good motivator, or the scheme was wrong. So we'll see how, and you would know more than us, because you've followed them before and you kind of know like what, and you've talked to people in Baltimore about how he works and how he communicates with players, and we've read some things here and there. So it's going to be curious to see how that plays out. Obviously, we do have a couple months to let that play out. I have a question, and it kind of dovetails into I have actually a question from a viewer that dovetails into my next question. I got Ruski's asking. Basically, this is like a hot stove question. It has been. He's a lightning rod
Oh
here.
man, we gotta do a Tua question, man.
Yes, man. Believe me, it's
y'all trying to have Dolphins fans on my head.
We almost got through without one, man. We almost got through without one.
I'm trying to have a quiet off season, enjoy my time to myself.
Nope.
Y'all about me to y'all about to make me the main character on Twitter. That's what y'all trying to do.
Blame the Yankees shirt. Blame the Yankees shirt.
Oh, blame the Yankee shirt, of course. 27 reasons to blame me. That's fine.
Shut up.
It's okay. We can't all be winners, bro. It's okay.
Shut it up. You live in
anyway.
Listen, just be like Chris Greer and be political with the answer, man. Don't get yourself in a box.
Hey, man, it is what it is. So, okay, I know I speak for everybody here. We're sold. Okay, some people, for whatever reason, agenda or not, they think that he's not the guy, or they have to replace him with Justin Fields or whatever the hot name is. Okay. I hate to ask you this question, but for purposes of completion and just catering to make sure that we satisfy everybody out there watching, what do you think?
Don't end up like Deshaun Elliott now. Don't end up.
So here's my deal. Here's my deal, and I may have said this last time I was on. When I came to the beat, I didn't have any opinion on Tua. I don't watch a lot of college football, so like I saw the national championship game. That's pretty much what I saw from Tua. I didn't watch little to no Dolphins football before covering the team. So I really came in like clean slate. I don't know anything about Tua. I'm just watching him for the first time. And I've seen a player that has gotten better, that has, especially in, the first year, the 2021 year when I first got here, he did more with less. And really the main thing is that he's gotten better every season, and I've seen like tangible improvement. My thing with Tua is that he has his strengths, he has the things that he's good at, and he has the things that whether you want to call them weaknesses, deficiencies, things that he will never be. He's never going to be, in terms of skill set, he's never going to be a Lamar Jackson. He's never going to be a Josh Allen. He's never going to be a Patrick Mahomes. So if you think that he needs to be that type of player in order for the Dolphins to get over the hump, you're never going to be satisfied. Me personally, I don't complain, and I don't talk about Tua needing to do more off script and be a little mobile and run more, because that's not his game. Like I obviously McDaniel was like, yeah, he can get better with extending plays and whatnot, but like he said, he's never gonna be Lamar Jackson. So like we shouldn't even like the discussion about Tua shouldn't like really be about that. It should be that based off the current skill set that he has, and the trajectory that you believe he's on, can he improve to a point where he can take this team on an extended run in the AFC Championship? I'm of the belief that he's going. I'm not sure how much better he can get, but I've seen teams with worse quarterback play and worse quarterbacks get to an AFC Championship game and get to a Super Bowl. I've seen that. I look at, and I hate to use this example, but like I look at the San Francisco 49ers and I see a quarterback in Brock Purdy who I think Tua is just as talented as, and probably more talented than. Probably more talented than. But obviously, they have a lot of things going right for Brock Purdy in terms of his supporting cast. The question, and I mentioned this, kind of alluded to this yesterday. The thing is, when you commit the type of deal that Tua is probably, and this side is probably seeking, it ties you to the player for multiple years, and it just naturally inhibits your ability to build around them. It shrinks the margin for error in terms of you have to hit in the draft. You can't have first round bust and second round bust and early round bust. You're not going to have as many salary cap as much salary cap space to spend. So the question is, if you do commit to Tua for multiple years, are you confident that you're going to get that sustained level of play? Like honestly, like if we put it in a vacuum, I know that the season didn't end the way that anyone expected, especially the way Tua struggled in the last month or so of the season. But if you take a season as a whole, it was a really good season. It was a really good season. It was good enough for him to go to the Pro Bowl. It was good enough for him to lead the NFL in passing. It was good enough for him to be top 3, top 5 in passer rating. Like in a vacuum, it was a really good season. But the question is, if you commit to Tua essentially for 3 to 4 years before you can get out the contract, are you confident that you're going to get that sustained level of play? And the big thing is that when you don't have as much wiggle room to go out and get a Tyreek Hill or get a Tyreek Hill type player or get a Jalen Ramsey type player, are you confident that when the margin for error kind of slims, he can carry you? That's the question. And I don't know that. I think Tua's a very good player, and I'll say this: I think that this past season, and it's a little bit of hyperbole because we don't know what's going to happen in the next 10 years, but this more or less this might be the most talented team that Tua's played on in the NFL. Like I don't know if they're ever going to get a roster with 2 Pro Bowl level pass rushers, 2 Pro Bowl or close to Pro Bowl level cornerbacks, and the best wide receiver in the NFL and the best number 2 wide receiver in the NFL. Like I don't know if they're always gonna have that in years to come.
Right.
It's only gonna get tougher if you commit a top of the market deal to them. And the question is, like, if we're being just realistic, who do you replace him with? Like you mentioned Justin Fields, like that's like we're not even gonna entertain that. Like that's goofy, in my opinion.
Thank you.
Are you doing Kirk Cousins? Yeah, that's goofy to me too. A 35-year-old coming off Achilles, that's goofy to me. So unless you have a clear option to replace him, I mean, what are we even discussing it for? Like, it's cool for we're just kind of filling space in the offseason. Like, let's be real. Let's talk realistically. So he'll be the quarterback in 2024, whether it's on an extended deal. I'm not sure because I think there's some legitimate hurdles in the negotiations. But he's going to be the quarterback. But the question is, like, how much better is he going to get? And with the roster that might not be as good as it was this past year, is that enough? I personally, like, and this is big picture. I don't want to like sound the alarm and like, the sky is falling, but I'm very like concerned about the offseason and how they're going to approach it. Now, if you ask Chris Greer, he's going to say we plan for this months and months ahead. But me personally, like the nobody who just sits on over the cap all day and messes around with the numbers and kind of knows the state of the team and their weaknesses, I am concerned that this is not going to be as talented of a roster as it was this past year. And this was an 11-win team with the roster, with the injuries and whatnot. I'm concerned that they're not going to be able to build off of this season and put the roster in a better shape to make a run in 2024.
I agree. And listen, before we move on to the next question, this is a perfect answer that one of our viewers, Irving, sent this to us, and this is a fact that I think everybody should follow suit. Let it go. Just let it go. He's gonna be here. Move on.
Yeah, that's why I don't even like talking Tua, honestly, because it's just kind of boring. And it's just kind of boring at this point because
it's tiring, bro.
A lot of the talk isn't rooted in reality, which is why like I don't really entertain. Like he's gonna be the quarterback in 2024, barring anything kind of crazy. let's see, because I don't think it's all on him. I didn't even mention that. I don't even think it's all on him. Like I've talked to a lot of people who are smarter than me. I've talked to people like frankly like in the building, and it's not just on Tua. I think that McDaniel would Tua man. I mean, not even Tua man. I think that if we asked him, if I asked him next week, I think he would say that he needs to grow more as a play caller. I think there's a lot of spot times where maybe Tua wasn't put in the best position, the players weren't put in the best position. So it's not all on Tua. I think that there's mutual growth that needs to be seen. You know, for this Dolphins offense to not only like be good against the bottom dwellers, but really stand up against some of the best teams in the NFL. It's not just Tua.
Go ahead, Chad.
Yeah, we've been fighting a good fight for a long time, man. It's to a point now where I feel like Tua's done enough to, for me, validate how we all felt about him, and then he just has to, continue to take that next step, just like with Mike McDaniel, right? Like he's got the back-to-back playoff wins. It's not enough, but it's a good start to show at least you are, treading and heading in the right direction, and you got something good. So
The
I think
honeymoon
that's
is over though. The honeymoon is over though. I will say that. Like it's time for some results. Yeah, it's time for some results though. Like when I be like we gotta see some playoff wins soon. Like now. So
So earlier you were alluding to the fact that Chubb and Phillips would be coming back from injury. How much of a priority should that be for the team this season? And as well as with the pass catching situation, we kind of have Easy E coming back from injury. You have Claypool, who they may or may bring back. Barrios, kind of, we don't know what's happening with him. But outside of Tyreek and Waddle, we really didn't have much there last season. So I really wanted to ask you, what do you think should be a bigger priority for the team this offseason? Would you say getting that third option solidified or ensuring that you have that depth to, account for the fact that it may take a little time to get back?
Jesus.
I mean, I would say outside linebacker just because like you don't even know if those guys can be ready for the start of the season. Like if you don't really make any major moves at wide receiver, like, you still have Waddle, you still have Tyreek and Waddle. Like that's still pretty good. Like you can work with that obviously, but you like don't even know. Like I mean, I guess based off like I'm not this again. This is not sourcing, but just based off like the normal recovery time for Achilles compared to a ACL, and then when they injured themselves, I think that Phillips would technically be later on. Like he'd probably return after Chubb because I know Chubb got hurt like the second last game of the year. But ACLs like guys usually can come back in maybe 8, 9, 10 months. Like Brandon Jones tore his knee up in late October, and he was ready for training camp. Now he wasn't like fully practicing in training camp, but he was medically cleared for training camp. So you look like a month later or a couple months later for Chubb. I think that it's possible, but Phillips with the Achilles, that's like legitimately like a maybe like a year long deal. So that's like you're talking about like pup territory. So I think you need some guys who can just like step in and hold the fort down until those guys come back. And obviously, Van Ginkel's a free agent. But I think you can find like some kind of cheap, like I think that especially with the Weaver connection, like whether it's Jadeveon Clowney, maybe you get a little reunion with Kyle Van Noy. I'm not sure I don't know how the fan base feels about him because he kind of left and said some things. But I think that it was a more of a flow thing with Van Noy. I heard on a podcast it was more of a flow thing, maybe. Um, so I don't know. Like maybe if you get one of those guys to come and like they can give you some good snaps. You also you got to get I think you got to get two edge rushers in at least, whether that's Van Ginkel and somebody, whether that's two outside guys, whether that's an outside guy and you draft somebody. You got to get two edge rushers in because you just don't know what is going to happen with those recoveries from those injuries. And then wide receiver, I don't even want to like label it wide receiver. I would just say secondary pass catcher. Like whether that's a wide receiver or a tight end, they got to bring somebody in. I think that there's various avenues to do that. Maybe more so in the draft, because I was on the conference call and I was told that Jeremiah said there's great depth for wide receiver. He was like, there's going to be some really interesting names in like the third round, maybe the fourth round. So that was kind of like where they got Ezukama. And obviously, like I think that I think very highly of Eric, but like potential is that's all it is. Like you can't really count on potential. Like you know, so whether you want to get a second tier free agent and get a guy that can be a solid number three, because like you got to look at it like they need a legitimate number three wide receiver for several reasons. Because first off, teams are keying on Tyreek and Waddle, and they've created schemes and coverages to take those guys out. But the Dolphins like intentionally limit those guys' snaps, and they also they because they are targeted so much, they kind of got these nicks and bruises at the end of the season. I think Tyreek only played like 60-70% of the snaps or something like that, between the injury and then between just the fact that like they just like stagger his reps so much. He's not playing a lot of like when he's on the field, they throw it to him a lot. There's also a lot of snaps where he's not on the field. So they need like a capable, legitimate number three wide receiver or a legitimate tight end who can kind of complement all those guys when they're on the field. But I would say outside linebacker first, because you're essentially like I'm not even counting on them. Like right now, I'm not even counting on those two guys to be ready for the start of the season. So you're kind of looking at it like you have two holes at edge defender right now.
Yeah, it's tough because when they were banged up towards the end of the season, it was really ugly for us. So I don't want to start the season off with that same thing going. But the same way when Waddle and Tyreek weren't there, it was just like no one could separate. There was like they were just manning us up. So I feel like they got to try to address both things, but they got to be crafty because we don't have a lot of cap space and on everything else. So, but yeah, go ahead, Wally. My bad.
No, it's coach. It's coach. I think he's gonna ask Junior's question.
Yeah. Listen, one of our guys, Junior, had to take off, but he asked me to ask you a question on his behalf. You're Chris Greer. You're on the clock. Who you taking with the first round pick?
Oh man.
Wow.
That's tough, man. Because like they really have so many holes. Like that's why I said like I'm very worried. Like they have so many holes. Like honestly, you can make an argument for them to take. I won't say tight end because like I'm not sure if there's a guy at number 21 that would be of good value or like really fit. But you can make an argument for them to take wide receiver, guard/center, defensive tackle, depending on what happens with Wilkins, outside linebacker, cornerback, and safety. Like there's like 6 positions where like if you told me in a couple months like they come away with any of those positions, I'd say I could see it.
Who was your pick, man? Who was your pick?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I asked him. I put him on the spot, but
it's kind of early because I haven't really like read too much on these guys, watched a lot of these guys.
Look, I'll tell you what. Let's put a pin in that, and if you're willing, a little closer to the draft, let's bring you back.
Don't do JPJ.
Can I do a cop out and say I trade back? Honestly,
yes.
Because I don't know. I don't think they have a 3rd round pick. I don't think they have.
That's what we all doing. That's what we all want to do. We all want to trade back either in the 1st or the 2nd round. Pick up.
Yeah. If I can trade back to the top of the 2nd round, and then we kind of double dip, and maybe we get a 4th in addition to that.
Yeah, because we don't have those right now.
Yeah, we know the tampering, and then one for the Chubb trade. I believe for the tampering.
If the 21st guy like isn't all that much different to me than the 34th guy, and then I can pick up an extra 4th or 3rd. I don't know how the trade value chart works,
but it makes sense.
I wouldn't be opposed to that because they got to get some young talent, and like the Ramsey trade, the Chubb trade, the Tyreek trade were cool. But one could argue that it was the byproduct of the team not drafting well, and it's put them in a spot where they're just so top heavy. I'd be shocked if they traded the 1st round pick for a player this year, because it just where do you fit that cap hit if it's like a top guy? Like you need to get some young contributors.
You need to fill in, because you can't pay everybody.
They've only had one contributor from their draft class the last 2 years, and that's Devon Achane.
But this is what I'm saying. This is the only. You remember we were talking about Liam Eichenberg, right? This is his moment to shine. This is why you flip him for a 5th or a 4th. This is his moment to shine. This is his moment to shine. You said he paid himself into some money. This is his moment to shine. This is what you could. The only guy in the roster right
Bro,
now.
you're not getting a third or a fourth for that guy. I'm sorry.
Can we get a
go
6? Can I get a Dan Feen? A 6?
I mean, for a 6, you might as well keep him. Like,
No, you might
I mean,
get a
I'm so
fourth.
serious.
You might
I
get
mean,
a
it's
fourth or a
serious.
fifth. You might get a fourth or a fifth. Give me a fourth. Come on now. Give me a fourth, man. I'm giving me a
That's special fleecing by Chris Greer if you get a
I'm
fourth.
saying, bro, come
Hey, listen.
I mean, hey, he's worked some miracles. Like you, hey, I didn't think he was gonna get Jalen Ramsey for a third round pick and Hunter Long, but
Bro, we flipped Devonta Parker off to the Patriots. Come on, man. And listen, I don't put it past him, especially if you can sell somebody. Look, man, hey, he played all 5 positions. He's graded out well. He found his way.
Man, you got a job in sales, bro. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something, man. Listen, you put that tape on, he gonna look good out there, boy.
no, man. You don't give each other. Yeah, I seen that.
I'm gonna tell you this: you did a wide receiver. There's a guy, LSU, Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah.
That's a guy. I think he brings something different and unique to what we currently have. And I think if you were to get a guy like that, it would cost you close to $10 million, if not more, in free agency for a guy with that type of talent. You know what I mean? And capability. So I just feel like what we're alluding to, if you can get somebody some cheap labor, I think he can provide you some production, and I think it will allow you to free up Tyreek and Waddle, especially Tyreek to play in the slot a lot more. And I think he can get some advantages on some safeties and linebackers to work. You know what I mean? You can get Tyreek on the third corner a little bit more often. What does that look like? You know, but I mean, it might be a little bit of
How about DB?
a luxury pick, but I mean, with DB with X, we don't know what happened with Cam Smith. If you could shore up those questions there and get a capable high-end talent there, it wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, Chris Greer loves DBs.
Yeah, the thing about wide receiver, I mean, like if he's the best, like I'm not really sure. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if Greer, like we've been here for a couple of years, so like I don't know like how Greer feels about like best player available. I know like the Ravens, it was like that's what it was more or less, like best player available more or less. So if like they kind of go by that philosophy and he's on the board, it'd be tough. Like let's say you get like Brian Thomas and Jackson Powers Johnson is off the board, and it's like there's some like lesser rated guard centers who like maybe aren't that at that point on your board, but they feel like that immediate need. That's kind of where you talk about like positional value.
Yeah, they're gonna reach
that's
for
available.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to it because I do think that in addition, like I think that part of what they need to do on offense is diversify the scheme and personnel. I think that they became too siloed into specifics. In terms of like the type of offense that they ran. And I think they need to diversify the skill set in terms of where they throw the ball, the types of players they're throwing the ball to, and the types of schemes that they're running, especially in the run game. So in the passing game, like it'd be tough to be like, all right, we're drafting this wide receiver who's going to be our number 3 wide receiver for probably the next year or two. Like it's tough to kind of like maybe sell that, in the immediate future. But when you look at long term, you're always projecting for the future as well. I think that could be a really strong move. But like, if I had to I don't know, like off the top of my head, like I would love to see them come away with a starting offensive lineman, at least like in the first round. I would love to see them come away with a starting offensive lineman because it just feels like they're going to lose 1 or 2 of those like guys, between Connor, Hunt, Williams. Like I just have a hard time seeing them like retaining all 2, let alone all 3. So I'd love to see them get an inside, really interior offensive lineman. But if they take a wide receiver in the first round, like I wouldn't be mad at it. I mean, they're probably gonna score, instead of 30 points a game, 35. Like, hey, scoring more points. I wouldn't be opposed to it. But I think it'd be kind of a tough sell, especially with some of like the bigger needs on the team right now.
Tua's getting rid of the ball in 2.3, 2.4 seconds. There,
Hey man, that's what I'm saying. We need to get him offensive lineman so you don't have to throw in 2.4 seconds. That's how I feel about it.
I agree with that. Hey Daniel, listen, it's been awesome. I'm sure you got other things to do, man. I appreciate you. The only thing I'll say is that hopefully, if you have the time, I'd love to get you back on with us closer to the draft because I know that you spent some time, at the
Senior Bowl.
At the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
So, as we get closer, maybe we can
I'm a
dive
guru, and I have guru takes. I'm a guru.
Bro,
These
don't
guys,
listen to this
oh
guy.
Will you
my
be at the
God.
combine, Daniel? Are you going to the combine?
Most definitely. I'll be there all next week.
I'm a
Yeah.
guru.
Yo,
I'm
nice.
a guru. I'm a guru. You go. All right. Yeah, don't hate on me, man. You gonna see my takes. You gonna see my
Bro, this
takes.
guy.
I was gonna say none of y'all brought up the who was it that said that Steeler was gonna have more sacks than Wilkins?
Oh,
Nobody
no,
brought
he's
that up.
not. He's not here.
Oh, okay.
He's not
I
here.
forgot who mentioned that, and I was scared they was going. I was going to get pressed. I was scared.
Yo,
I was like, I hope
he
you won't
lucky.
bring it
He
up.
lucky he had it there. But look, he moved on to. He has a different scenario now. He's actually a Christian Wilkins apologist. Right now, he wants to get Christian Wilkins paid. It's insane. This guy has so many agendas.
Let me tell you.
Go ahead. No, I'm gonna say. Go ahead. All right, cool. Now I'm gonna say, if you factor in the fact that Chubb and Phillips are dealing with some injuries and AVG and Flux, I mean, that might strengthen the case to bring Wilkins back. You know what I mean? You don't want to lose 40 sacks worth of production all in one offseason and your starting corner. Like, that's a lot to replace. And
I think Wilkins has a lot of leverage right now. I don't think he wants the tag, but I don't think the Dolphins want to put the tag on. Like, I think, like I said, in a perfect situation, I don't think they want to give him the tag. So I think Wilkins has a lot of leverage, and if I'm him, I'm not budging off whatever. I mean, I put it this: whatever he was asking for last year, like the price done increased since then. So if I'm Wilkins, I have no reason to budge off of whatever price I'm asking for. And if you want to do the franchise tag and then make it harder to keep all your guys, that's not my problem. So,
man, listen, he gonna look beautiful in a Minnesota Viking jersey.
Oh yeah, teaming up with Flo.
He's gonna be out there. He's gonna be out there doing his little splits and all that.
Hey, listen, the guy that you were talking about, French, he, obviously is a big Zach Steeler fan. So, quick story. A couple of the guys flew out to DC for the Commanders game.
I wasn't at DC.
No, he was not. Wally was not in DC. Nobody else in DC. These guys, they flew out there. They watched the game. And coincidentally, he sat with Zach Steeler's family.
Oh, wow.
So we were like, yo, so he was sending us pictures and videos and this and that. And we told him, so, like, did you make a connection there? Let's try to get Zach on the show, whatever. No. He's like, bro, you had your opportunity.
You're working, man.
He's like, what's wrong with you, man? Like, what are you doing?
He's not a real fan because he's not a real fan.
Right next to his family, out of all the seats in the stadium, on the road, like, that was his man.
That was insane.
Family out here, man.
Got the ball.
Yes, indeed.
All right, man. Listen, I will let you go. I know. And thank you for the time, bro. I know it's much appreciated and all the insight. And again, hopefully we'll link up before the draft if you got some time. We're really interested to hear what what your observations are and all that with the guys coming in.
Nah, most definitely. We'll make it happen for sure.
All right, my boy. Thanks again, man.
Bro.
Yes, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you too.
Have a good night, Daniel. Appreciate you.
Hey, you disrespecting my gurus, man. I'm a guru. I'm a guru.
You think I'm kidding? I'm gonna make that bootleg shirt, bro.
Everybody's a guru. Everybody's a guru in their own way. You know what I mean? You may be a guru.
No. Chill out. Now we ain't
I got
my own juice and all.
Flipping pancakes. There's a lady out there that's a guru on making tortillas. You may be a guru at fixing engines or whatever. Everybody is a guru, man.
There you go. Hey, you saw Mechanic's comment on the chat.
Yeah.
He said, "Nah, he leaves." You talking about Liam?
Hey, we could ask him about Baker, man. Like,
we missed that, bro, but
yeah, we missed
that, and then Van Ginkel too. I wanted to ask you Van Ginkel, but we got caught up in in the flow of things. So
yeah.
But listen, hey, that was a great show, man.
It's crazy how, like, as a fan, we're like, oh, Christian Wilkins might be gone, but he might not be gone.
You never know, bro.
It's insane, bro. Even X, look at the way he talking about X. And you know how they choose their words really carefully and stuff like that.
I used to be so attached to. I'm not gonna say I'm not attached to players because I still am because I'm a fan. Okay, but I've gotten to the point. Yes, I'm old. I get it, but I've gotten to the point where I'm like, bro, fight. You look at it from a standpoint. Like Wally, you brought this up before. Like with these guys' salaries, how many positions can we fill? And I'm not trying to minimize the impact that these guys have, but bro, come on. Like, okay, you're gonna give this guy the money because you're attached to him and he's important. You think he's important, whatever. So, but then the other positions are gonna suffer, and we're gonna continue to be subpar.
Nope, it's a good thing. It's a good question to ask and to propose because if you can get 2 to 3 guys that can do their job that replaces the one guy who excels at his, right? I mean, it's an interesting proposition, you know what I mean? To maybe spread some of that money around at some of these positions. But at the same time, these guys are ingrained within the team. They put in a lot of work. They're deserving of everything that comes their way. And sometimes they just don't align with the direction of the team, and sometimes you gotta pivot, bro.
I think if you read the tea leaves, the team has gone in the direction of no names. We're gonna get lesser names. We're gonna pay the young guys. We're gonna start rebuilding his team. And if you hear their thing is Anthony Weaver, we want guys to coach. We want guys to teach.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
So if you're moving towards that, your whole method is all right. We might have to take a step backwards to take a leap forward. Maybe
Yes.
we might not be great in the regular season in the beginning. Well, we might just start studying that corner in the playoffs because you taught these guys how to play. And I think we're gonna have. I don't think a lot of these names are coming back. I'm sorry, but we're gonna have a bunch of guys out there and roster building.
Yo, I have no problem with that. But you want me to tell you why? Because, and this is gonna sound callous as hell, okay? But we've had guys. Yes, I know there's context, like we always say. There's been injuries, XYZ, coaching, whatever. How far have we gone with what we have?
Nowhere. So nobody's worth keeping. If you want to break it down, nobody's worth keeping like that. Nobody won the Super Bowl. So hey, listen, I appreciate you. I'm gonna tell you something. The Patriot way teaches you a lot. Listen,
you just said it, and I was just thinking the same exact thing.
You went from Richard Seymour to Vince Wilfork. They both won in the same run and both won championship type stuff. I mean, like, they found a way. Yes, bro. You got it. You have to spread that money out, specifically when you can find cheap talent at positions like this. The NFL is a dying breed for paying linebackers. You're not paying linebackers too much money. You're not paying defensive tackles that much money. So yes, you can pay Christian Wilkins. Christian Wilkins is the Ndamukong Suh deal. We're not an Ndamukong Suh away from a Super Bowl. We're a core from a Super Bowl.
Bro, but
you can get 2 pass rushers for the low and a tackle.
And bro, and I agree, but the thing is that it pulls, and I think Chad feels the same way as I do, is that the logic tells you this, but the heart tells you something else. You follow me? It's hard, man. It's not an easy thing. I'm not saying I don't think any of us here like, okay, it's cut and dry. Like, there's a couple players that we're cut and dry about, but like certain guys, like, it's not that cut and dry. But you'll be like, okay, X team that let's say the Bears are going to pay Wilkins, just to throw a number out there, $28 million. Hey,
bro, let me ask you a question. Let's go back down. Jason Taylor was gone for 3 seasons.
Yes.
Did you live?
Of course.
Is Christian Wilkins half the player that Jason Taylor is?
No, bro. Come on. No.
Sayonara. See you later, bro. Bro. Listen. Christian Wilkins is a great guy, bro. Go get paid, and in 2 years, come back home, though. You're gonna come back home. That's gonna be Super Bowl 3. Come back home. You know what I'm saying? Go get paid because they're gonna release you because they're not gonna be able to afford you.
Hey, listen, and another thing is, and I get the argument about that I've heard, whether it be on social media, XYZ, that you have to pay, you have to keep the guys that you draft. And why keep letting the homegrown talent leave? And I get that. I understand that. But it's like Chad mentioned earlier. Certain players just don't fit the team's needs at the time. Even though they're good, you wish them well. You keep going. But listen, we got to address other things.
You can't cook Christian Wilkins, and you're not gonna be able to pay Javon Holland and
Right. So okay, so Christian gets his money, but we lose other guys. And then you're like, okay, hey Christian, you got your money, you earn it, you deserve it. I get all that. I am on board with that. I'm pro player. But like when it comes to the team, like, okay, so he's got his money, and then what? Then what do we do? We're gonna continue, we'll lose the other players because no, man, get your money somewhere else.
So let's say you find a Raekwon Davis, right? Raekwon Davis, you give Raekwon Davis a 2-year, $9 million contract, right? Let's say this guy out of nowhere with Anthony Weaver plays out of his mind. And you could, let's say player X. Player X is costing you $9 million in contrast to the 24 you got to pay Christian Wilkins. And you still got 15 left. 14 left. Did I just fuck up our math? It was 24.
I think you did, bro. Yeah, but you know what? No. Wait a minute. This is Miami
15.
High,
It's 15.
Miami High education on display.
15.
Me alegro que está pasando esto.
It's 15.
Go ahead.
It's 15. It's
Go ahead.
15. Whatever. Miami High
For the
Squad.
world, the guru, ladies and gentlemen.
Stingeries for life.
Guru.
But I fixed the math. You still got 15. Now tell me, with 15, how many linebackers? Look, let's just say you get one high price player with that. The kid from the Panthers. You give him all the 15.
Bro.
You fix the defense.
I will live stream. I will streak live. A live stream if we get Frank Louvu, bro. Frank Louvu.
So you're
telling
telling me
that's my guy, bro. I'm sorry.
I'd rather have a bro. Me, I'll draft a defensive tackle, bro.
We got a statement here from Mr. Campbell.
Yeah,
improve the secondary and linebackers, and you can fill in guys until Phillips and Chubbs come back. Yeah,
facts. You get a bunch of Jags. You get a bunch of guys.
Nah, but Chad also made a good point, bro. It's like you don't want to be in the same situation that we were when we went up to Kansas City in the playoffs, where literally they were signing guys off the street and like there's no pass rush.
We'll be in the same predicament though. If he signed Christian Wilkins, it's going to be Christian Wilkins, Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb,
and a bunch of guys,
and the other guys that were exactly.
Right. Well, and Javon, whatever. Yeah, but I get your point, and it's true, and it's true. And then that's where the draft becomes so important. You guys say, okay, Chris Greer and his staff, Marvin Allen and all of them, you better start hitting on 3, 4, 5 of your draft picks every year, because you've already given this guy X amount of money. And obviously you're gonna have to pay other players or whatever, but you got to fill in the rest of your roster. So
it doesn't work out for me.
I'm with you. I'm with you. It hurts. It bothers me, but I'm like, okay, well, sometimes you gotta. There's sacrifice in all this. So we'll see. Where'd Chad go, man? Chad sleeping, take a nap.
No, I was here. I was trying to get in, but you guys are bouncing back.
Bad, man. No, go ahead, man. I thought you were doing something. Go ahead.
I say that Wilkins is a great player, bro. But at the end of the day, I understand both sides of the equation, and I'm just gonna see what the team decides to do, and whether my opinion is or whatever, we're gonna see, and we'll build from there, and we'll see where it goes. I do think that there's a case to be made for his return. And I do think you can make a case for on why you should probably, spread some of that money around and diversify some of those funds. But we'll see what the team decides to do.
Yeah, it's got to be. I'm excited, bro. I mean, like I said earlier in the show, I love this part. I love the team building and the scheming I love all this stuff, bro.
I think I disagree with a lot of people going their perspective over our team going forward. They're enamored with all these names and saying we're not going to be a good team because of that. I think we're going to be surprisingly better. It might be ugly in the beginning, but once they get it, they're going to be a lot better than when we were last year, because we're not going to be so top heavy. So you're going to have guys that are playing for a contract, guys that are fighting in the NFL to get some relevancy again, because those are the type of guys you can afford. You're looking for dogs that are looking up, that have something to play for right now. And that you're roster building and you're finding your diamonds in the rough. You can find another Zach Zealer around there. So yeah. I look forward to that. I'm not scared of the future. I'm actually I'm excited for this. I want to see Chris Greer get the work, man.
bro. And for me, bro, coaching matters.
Yes.
I know this is a players' league, but bro, coaching matters, and this is where we're gonna see specifically. Like that's why I asked Daniel about Weaver, because I'm trying to get. I mean, we're not really gonna know until the season. I get it, and how things develop, especially when there's adversity. That's when you really find out, who people are just in general. But I'm dying to see how this is all gonna work out, and how he elevates the defense to actually play to their potential. Okay, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyway, are we wrapping here? Are we done for the night?
Yeah, it's a wrap, man. Thanks for the win, man. We appreciate y'all for showing up. Shout out to Daniel Oyefusi.
Oyefusi, my boy.
Man, shout out to the boy, man. Hopefully we get him back for a round of draft, and we have a more of a clear view of what we're doing with the team and stuff like that.
Yeah, I got some. I'm trying to get some. There's a draft guy that I'm lining up through Fans First. So hopefully I'll have an answer by the end of the week. So
you could just have a show on me, like I'm a guru, but don't worry about it. I'm gonna let you slide. Don't worry about it, dude.
We'll let that pass, bro. We'll let that pass. Wait. On that note,
Thanks for the win, man. Thanks for the win. We out of here, man. Thank you, guys.